Marjorie Taylor Greene welcomes Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to come and meet with the houses of Congress about their oversight in reducing spending, making it more efficient. This is good news for all of us. We're going to get a better return for our money that is spent in government. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is the Doug TenNapel channel. We thank you for subscribing most of all. And of course, leave your comment below if you're as excited as we are.
To have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy come and talk about really working with the House and the Senate and what we'll achieve together for our nation.
They're going to have to work with the House and the Senate. Vivek's going to get into this later. He's going to talk about how this should be a bipartisan issue. Because they're a appointment and not an official part of where the House and the Senate vote on them to approve them. They have to get approval from everyone to get to do anything.
DOGE, though, is going to use AI to look for it, right? Can you give us a sneak peek of how you'll find waste, fraud, and abuse that has escaped others?
I think that advanced computing and the use of data in de-siloing, there's a problem where you have sort of non-technical discussions about the use of AI to sort of fetishize, one tool. But I would say the broad use of technology improvements across the federal government are not only going to be important, I think is necessary in order to actually get the job done.
Okay, Vivek is talking about using AI, which has gotten a bad rap, like everyone's all terrified of it. All it is artificial intelligence. It's a way to use code to represent human hours of work, looking at code and inefficiency. There's a bigger problem, though. Right now, our computer systems don't even talk to each other. He'll get to that in a minute. We're back to Margie Taylor Greene.
We talked about the interest on our debt, and the interest is going to continue to grow, where the only thing the American people are going to be paying for is the interest.
So right now, we're about to get to a point where you're just going to get taxed just to pay off that interest for the loans that we took out, which is a terrible, inefficient, wasteful way to use your money, where our money is being wasted more than ever. When you have inflation go up, 10% in a year or even 20% on certain goods, your money buys less. That is, they're taking advantage of you, our time, our whole lives. When we spend our time making money, or for those of you on retirement, the time that you did spend making money, you're getting a worse return on it. In some cases, a 20% worse return on it. If the money's just going to pay down our debt, just the interest on our debt, you're getting a zero return on it.
It's unsustainable, and our country is on a crash course that will lead to all of our destruction. So
yeah, it's just all of our destruction. That's all. I love how casually she says that, but it is true. Financially, if America goes to ruin, you'll see a loss of a lot of our rights and a lot of life. That is part of America. Our prosperity is part of what protects us. And you see it in other third world countries that don't have that kind of money. They don't have any control over their own lives. And that's part of why there's civil unrest around the world, is because the people feel like there's no control over their lives. That is, they can't even work harder to get out of their situation because their governments are so corrupt.
How about some of the mandatory programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid? They eat up so much of government spending. Do they need to be addressed, and does less need to be spent on those programs?
Well, the first thing that was talked about was protecting the American people's hard-earned money in Social Security and definitely their benefits. No one wants to hurt Americans in that category, but we have a lot of great ideas.
And I know one of the ideas. For those of you on Social Security, this whole administration is still committed to not touch that and to try to protect it. But look for a big play in crypto. Bitcoin just went over $100,000 per Bitcoin this week. And I believe the U.S. government, Trump has talked about it already, the U.S. government could transfer some of our money into Bitcoin. So it's not just gold reserve or what's backing the U.S. dollar, but Bitcoin could be more stable than the US dollar, and that could be a good move for us. El Salvador has already taken off because they did the same thing. They're incredibly prosperous right now.
I would say even using synchronous systems, right? Actually the same kinds of software that can talk to be compatible with other kinds of software that are being used in a part of the federal government that's working on a similar problem, but because it's in a different silo, isn't even using compatible software. You have COBOL on mainframes is basically the norm in a lot of the federal government today.
I'll translate for you. COBOL on mainframes. COBOL, that's an ancient computer code language that they're using, and they may not be compatible with another section of government that is using a different code, Fortran, C++, who knows? But they can't even speak to each other, and they can't because he said they're siloed, so that they're separated from each other to not be able to interact. If they can unify the code and unify the framework to allow the government agencies to be able to talk to each other and see each other, it'll be easier for them to do these kinds of audits, even using AI, but even having humans look at the code and just be able to speak the same language. So that is one unifying feature I'm looking forward to that would instantly help smooth government out. But they've got a huge amount of work to do if they're talking about going into that level of reform in the code.
I'm not alone in feeling this way, and Elon's not alone in feeling this way. I think that's part of why we're seeing business leaders across the country, especially those who have dealt with the government, to step up and say, how can I actually help in this effort? And I hope that's why our success is going to be one that isn't a partisan victory, but it's something that goes beyond traditional politics to say that we're actually making government function more efficiently and effectively.
By the way, there will be Democrats helping on this, and that's good. You don't want them fighting you on government efficiency. You want them working with you, everyone throwing in, saying this is so popular, we have to work on it, because everyone will benefit. So the idea that Democrats are going to protect waste, abuse, inefficiency, some will because there's power in it. You let me know what you think. Do you think Democrats will help on this at all? I'm Doug in Exile.